Whiskeys are Old Forester 1910 is what I'm drinking, and at a very much lower price we have Henry McKenna Bourbon. Old Forester is a brand that I am, if they're not a sponsor, but if you guys ever want to be, I mean, talk about a product I really would endorse. Old Forester makes a great line of whiskeys. They have a few of them, 4 or 5 that are in that $50 to $55, $60 range, and I love every single one of them. I don't know that I've ever had a product from Old Forester that I didn't like. This one's the 1910, and it has a good character to it. It's an in-your-face kind of whiskey. It's not your typical smooth whiskey. It gets your attention, but I really like it. It has a heavier feel to it, and I love drinking it. Henry McKenna Bourbon is something that I kind of snuck in on Steven this week because it's a $10 bottle of bourbon. But it has a great sour mash flavor to it, and if you're the kind of person that likes to drink Jack and Coke, try this out because the sour mash flavor from Jack Daniels is what comes through the Coke, and this has that same sour mash flavor, and instead of paying $25, $30 for a bottle, you'll pay $10 for a bottle right here.
All right.
And Steven has drank some of it, and how do you feel about it?
And it's pretty good. I like it. It tastes like Jack to me. I'm not the most whiskey kind of guy, but
right.
He is, and he knows a lot more than me. I'm going to learn that.
All right.
Cheers.
So here's to another week. Well, as most of you know, both of us are fans of the Oklahoma Sooners football team, and it was a great weekend for us.
We'll take that easy victory.
So, Steven called it. It was your lock of the week. We'll get to our Vegas segment later, and you called the -7, and you seem pretty comfortable doing it, and the Oklahoma Sooners went out there and made that look like a comfortable pick.
It was easy through the first quarter, easy through most of the second quarter. Got kind of a little rough in the second, but we have the better quarterback, much better. Spencer Rattler is a beast, and their quarterback looked terrified. Until they benched him. So it wasn't a contest. We had a better defense, had a better offense, had a better all-around team. I felt like OU would be in title contention if it wasn't for dropping the first 2 games of the season to nobody, or second and third game.
Perkins looked like he was personally offended by every single person on the field out there, and that's something we talked about last week. At least we talked about a little bit that the secondary looks better, and to some extent the linebackers look better since he's come back because so much attention is focused on our front 4 now. And Lincoln Riley talked about this in his press conference a little bit. And if you didn't see the game, and if you did see it, and maybe you noticed this, our secondary was beat a few times. But their quarterbacks were just not comfortable. They weren't able to make those throws. They were there to be made at times, but they just didn't make them because their feet weren't set. They were running away from somebody, or they heard footsteps that weren't even there. The defensive line, especially Perkins, just made it a living hell out there for the Cowboys quarterbacks.
And that's something as an OU fan you haven't been able to say in a long time. Our defensive line has been atrocious. This year, it looks like it's really coming along. I mean, we used to have some beasts on the defensive line.
Yeah.
Like Tommy Harris. Tommy Harris, man. I miss seeing guys like that. Or even Dvorak. But, yeah, we're finally getting some monsters in there.
And to quantify it a little bit, I mean, Mondre Stevenson had a huge day, well over 150 yards. Spencer Rattler was over 300 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. And all the talk on social media right now is focused around that defensive line. That's just a crazy thing to even talk about. The defensive line controlled that game and put us in a really good position to win. And I hope that they're ready to do it again because West Virginia has the ability to keep this next game a little bit low scoring, and so our defense needs to make sure that West Virginia is even lower scoring.
Got to keep those couch bunnies down.
So, other than the Oklahoma games, were you surprised by anything this week in college football?
I mean, Wisconsin didn't look good. That was really surprising. The COVID. The COVID. I'm always surprised by the COVID. I know it's out there. I know it's awful, but it always surprises me whenever a team goes all the way out to Clemson and doesn't play.
Yeah, that was definitely a subject. We'll get to Dabo's comments on that here in a second, but. Kansas State has been a team that seemingly has gotten worse as the season's gone along, and I think that's because COVID has just come at them at different times and taken away, I think, a lot of their practice time, especially towards the end of the year. And you could see it really this week really take a toll on their team, and Iowa State just ran smooth over Kansas State this week.
Well, they were missing that quarterback, weren't they, Kansas State?
Yeah, Skylar Thompson didn't play, the offense was unable to really get anything going. And Iowa State just, like I said, 35-0. They made it look easy, and I'm sure that it actually was easy.
Yeah, well, Kansas State's been letting everyone look easy on them the last couple of weeks, which is awful because they beat OU. That's one of the teams that beat us.
So when you look at Iowa State, obviously they have a huge game this Friday against Texas, and I'm actually trying to fight off the urge to drive down to Austin to watch it in person. For anybody that doesn't know, I'm a huge food guy, and I love to go to Austin to eat good barbecue and some good tacos. So those two things combined with a good college football game happening there this weekend have me in my feelings a little bit. Maybe I'll get in my car and make the 6-hour drive. So, but who do you have winning that game?
I'm gonna go Texas. I'm gonna say that we're gonna have a good old fashioned OU Texas Big 12 championship, and I feel like it's gonna be a letdown game for Iowa State. They're good. They're great. They're not that good. I can't picture it. OU had them. OU had them and let them out the hook.
So let's talk about some factors in that game. The Texas game against Kansas this week was canceled, so now they've had extra time to prepare for Iowa State. They've been at their comfortable homes in Austin, Texas, hopefully enjoying some of the good food that I can't enjoy because I'm not down there. And they got a quarterback. So I'm going to preface what I'm about to say that I feel that Texas has a quarterback that is going to do everything in his power to will them to victory in this game. But unlike Steven, I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Iowa State wins this game, and I think they do it a little bit convincingly. I think that a lot of people out there are going to be on Texas this weekend, and I really think that Iowa State is going to find a way to win this football game. I am thoroughly impressed with their coaching staff. They show up prepared to play every week. They don't beat themselves. That is a huge factor to me when I look at a college football team. Iowa State simply does not beat themselves. You have to go out there and do it. So we'll see this week. I don't think Texas defense is going to be prepared to stop Breece Hall in that Iowa State running attack. I do think that Texas will score some points on them, but I just don't think it'll be enough. I'm putting this game somewhere around 31-17 Iowa State.
No faith in Sam Ehlinger. No faith in Sam Ehlinger.
And I will preface this. I will say that there's a lot of hate in the OU arena towards Sam Ehlinger. I am the exact opposite. I think that a lot of you who don't like Sam Ehlinger don't like him for the same reasons that you used to love Baker Mayfield. And I absolutely love that kid. I don't think his ability is on the level of Baker Mayfield, but I just love the fire and I love the competitiveness. I love his leadership. He's a guy that if he's on your team, you love him, and if he's not, then you hate him.
So he's balancing your Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he's a Draymond Green of college football. So, as far as surprises goes this last week, you kind of took mine. I was starting to think of Wisconsin as a playoff football team, and Northwestern just came and took that away from them. And not to disrespect Northwestern football in any way, but I was shocked at the way they just came out and just handled that game and took it right out of Wisconsin's hands. So props to Northwestern. Heck, I'll drink to that. Go Wildcats. Go do great things. Peace. So last week we talked about teams who thought were going to make the playoffs, and I don't think I saw anything this week that would make me change anything about that. So as far as playoff picture goes, I don't think anything's changed for me. I did see something weird this week where there was talk of Cincinnati and BYU have the same open date of December 5th, I believe it is, and should they or should they not schedule a game that week? And my immediate reaction was twofold, which was, is that allowed? I honestly don't know the answer to that question. And if it is allowed, why are we even talking about it? Why isn't that game already scheduled at a neutral site? Like, let's go play this sucker at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City and let's get it on.
and if they do, I feel like if both teams go into undefeated, they should guarantee them one of the top 4 spots. Just give it to them. Just give it to them. Let a non-power 5 get in there finally.
Who wins that game in your mind?
Cincinnati.
Really?
Yeah, I don't trust Mormons.
You don't? I would say that I trust Fickle and his coaching staff out there in Cincinnati have done an amazing job, and it's hard to hate on anything they've done. But man, the lasting memory in my mind right now is BYU just housing Boise State. So I will preface this by saying that is the only game I've seen BYU play this year. So the sample size being what it is, even though I will go with BYU just for that reason that I've seen them play one game and they beat the brakes off of a really good football team. So.
Well, maybe we'll figure out a bet to play each other.
So that'll be a possible thing we'll be against each other. So NFL-wise, anything jump out at you this week? What was the story of the weekend for you?
Jalen Hurts getting some playing time. I don't know what the Eagles are gonna do. The whole NFC East just blows my mind. Like, and then I guess Dallas upsetting the Vikings. That cost me a couple dollars this week.
I had Dallas plus the 7, but I also had Minnesota on a teaser. So up until the last, I had a chance to middle that game and get my teaser, which would have cashed because the other side of that teaser was Kansas City just to win the game. So, but Minnesota had every chance to stop Dallas in that game towards the end, and they had an interception that was in their hands. They didn't catch it. They had a I think it was 4th and 6, and Dallas got it. And it just seems like Dallas was always doing just enough to figure out a way to stay in that game. And in the end, it cost Minnesota. Dallas won the game. That goal line play at the end, by the way, talk about one coaching staff outclassing the other. That guy came wide open, and it seemed like nobody had any idea that they were supposed to be covering him. So
yeah, that's how it goes, man.
Whatever Minnesota had drawn up on that was not effective, to say the least. My big takeaways were the Saints coming out with Taysom Hill and just handling business against Atlanta. That was a surprise to me. I thought that would be a better game. And then the Rams. The Rams came out, and I picked the Rams to win that division. I do think they're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the NFC. But to come out there and go on the road across the country, touchdown in Tampa Bay, and then drive over to the stadium and beat them like they did, that was... Got
2 picks on Brady.
Their defense is really something.
Legit. It's legit.
One of those picks, I will say, was a fair catch. I mean, I could have caught that one. But the pressure on Brady was there. That's been the knock, I think, so far this year, is that Brady feels harassed by pressure.
Well, he doesn't have that Belichick offensive line blocking for him.
Without that clean pocket, he struggled this year. But, I mean, if you want to beat the Rams, you're going to have to figure out a way to do it without a clean pocket. When you got Brockers and Donald, they're going to make things uncomfortable for you. So, good luck when you're playing the Rams on defense. You're going to have to figure out a way to slow down their offense, because I don't think anybody's going to score a ton of points on that defense.
Yeah, McVay's just doing McVay things. And, yeah, their defense has definitely come along. Getting rid of Wade Phillips was huge for them.
Yeah.
Huge, because he just kept running that Tampa too, and it just wasn't working out.
And how about Jalen Ramsey? I mean, the job he's done this year for them. He shut down DK Metcalf. He had a great game last night.
If you could talk and back it up, you're one of my favorite players. I love Jalen Ramsey.
So, and then the receivers, the Cup and Woods, I think the 49ers were the team that likes to call themselves the Yak Boys, but I think I'm going to take that title and move it down to Los Angeles, because Cup and Woods, you just got to get them the ball anywhere, and they're going to make some yards out of it.
Dude, Cooper Kupp is my favorite white boy receiver. Like, I love everything about him.
Over Thielen?
Oh, yeah. No. I hate Minnesota. I hate Minnesota.
NFC North guy. I think there's some personal feelings in that one.
Just a little bit. Plus, Cooper Kupp doesn't have COVID. So, Adam Thielen's out for the next 2 weeks, fantasy guys. Make sure you bench him.
Speaking of fantasy, I got a bad beat. I was down 40 points going into last night's game, but I had Robert Woods, Tampa Bay defense, and Tom Brady. And Robert Woods seemed like he was on a mission to make sure I didn't lose this game. 10 catches, 100-something yards. He had a touchdown. I mean, just doing everything he can, just willing the Oklahoma City Baby Punchers to victory. But Tom Brady was on his way to winning me that game. I came back. I took the lead from 40 points down.
I can already know where it's going.
And then a late interception took 2 points off the board, and I lose by 1.5. And that's the way fantasy football goes.
That's a bad beat. That's a bad beat.
Yeah, that's it. At least it wasn't in a game that I had money on, so I'll take comfort in that. So I did have a good week.
I bet Tampa Bay.
So, okay.
I did not have a good week.
Seemingly out of nowhere, the college basketball season starts tomorrow. We'll talk more in depth, I think, about a few of the conferences and a few of the teams we like next week. But let's, in a general sense, who are some of the teams you think are going to make a run towards the Final Four? Just you don't have to give all 4, 2 or 3 of them.
I'm always going to go with Kentucky. I love John Calipari. That's my dude. And then they always have the number 1 recruiting class, and year in and year out, they're the NBA factory. I gotta take Coach K.
And that is in no way affected by the fact that the 2 whiskeys we're drinking came from Kentucky, because neither one of these places are sponsors yet. So you can make a living, I think, putting your money on Kentucky when it comes to basketball.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to take the chalkiest of chalk picks. I love Gonzaga this year. I think this is the year that they break through and finally win the whole thing. You know, Gonzaga has a lot of great years. The record is great, but then playing in that the weaker conference, that it just doesn't translate. But, you know, in college basketball, it's hard to pick a winner. You have to win 6 games in a row. There's no way around that. So I do think Gonzaga will get. I mean, I just love Suggs. I love his game, and I think that this is the year that Gonzaga and the Bulldogs break through and finally win the thing. And the other, you know, I'll go with the traditional. I'll go with Duke. And
You can't not take Duke.
Hard to feel bad about picking any team coached by Coach K. Coach Krzyzewski, Coach Krzyzewski and his team out there. I always feel good about picking them. And then Illinois will be the team that it's not a traditional pick, but they certainly it's not. I'm not going to call it a dark horse pick. They have a very stacked team this year.
It's probably the best team they had since they had Juice Williams back in like 2004, 2005.
So outside of those teams, let's pick a team outside of the top 10, and then maybe a team even further down the road who you think has a shot to win it this year.
I like Tennessee outside the top 10.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go Arkansas. If you want to talk about a not top 25 team that I think has a really good chance to get in there to upset some peoples during March Madness, I'm gonna take Arkansas. They had a really good recruiting class this year, actually top 10 recruiting class, and they're still not even ranked. Plus, every now and then there's just always that team that's gonna pop, and I can't keep it straight blue, so I gotta go with a red team.
As dark horse picks go, this is as chalk as it gets because we said outside the top 10 that I'm picking the number 11 team, Creighton Blue Jays. And this might be a pick with my heart, but I've always followed that team. They were
Dougie McBuckets.
When I fell in love with college basketball way back in the early 90s, the Creighton was always that team they were kind of like that era's Gonzaga. And so they were always making a run, but never quite getting there. And I was so young and I was in love with basketball. I still am. But, you know, if anybody's out there looking for a 6'5", 40-year-old point guard, I can help you out. The speed might not be there, but, you know, like Sam Ellinger, I got that heart, okay?
Windex man. Windex man. He's a blue guy.
Outside the top 10, I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. They got the number 1 recruit in the nation. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick. Steven, can you think of anything that would stop them from getting to the Final Four?
I don't know. I feel like there's some allegations out there, but it's definitely a solid pick.
It would have been my pick. They might have been in the top 10 if it wasn't for...
You know what? If they beat the courts, then they have a chance.
You gotta beat the system and then beat the team on the court.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, Oklahoma State will not be in the Final Four or any other postseason honor this year because they're banned from the postseason. But I am very excited for them in as much as they have Cade Cunningham, and he's a very good player, and I hope he plays for the Thunder this time next year.
So you're going to say the Thunder are going to have the worst record in the NBA this year?
Yeah, and I will tell you that the Thunder, I mean, given the chance, I think they could make a run at the NCAA title. I don't know that I would pick them as favorites.
They definitely meet the age requirement.
So, all right. Do we have anything else to talk about before we go to Vegas?
No, I think
have we covered? Have we got 10 minutes worth of video on there, you think? What do we got?
Yeah, we're at 19 minutes.
Oh, sweet. Okay, so we've talked about college basketball. You know what? Let's go. Do you want to talk about NBA? The Thunder just keep...
Yeah, we can talk about the draft. All right.
Okay, so last week we talked about the draft. We were both very wrong, saying that LaMelo Ball would go number 1.
Yes.
He went, what, number 4 was it?
He went number 3.
Number 3, the Charlotte Hornets.
The crazy pick of the whole draft was number 4, Patrick Williams, going to the Chicago Bulls. I'm excited. I wasn't excited at all, but the more and more research I do, the more I want to pretend like he's Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, a guy that we both talked about last week that we liked, Alexi, he fell down the draft a little bit. And one thing I would like to talk about, you watched the NBA draft. I watched almost the entire first round because as a Thunder fan, you never know
if they're going to move up.
Yeah, you could be picking at any second. But no, the emotion coming from a lot of these picks, and not just the top 1 or 2. As a matter of fact, the top pick, Anthony Edwards, seemed like he was just kind of...
He wants to be a rapper.
Another day for him.
He wants to be a rapper.
I'm a great rapper, I'm a great basketball, I'm a great football. Whatever I do, I want to be great at, so what do I care? But, you know, I think I saw 7 or 8 players who struggled to get through their interview because they were just so overcome with emotion, and I love to see that. I love it. So if your team is getting one of those guys...
Cleveland, you got one of them.
These guys that they're ready to play, they're passionate about the opportunity, and I love to see that. I love to see anybody, if you're a janitor, if you go to work every day and you're like, I'm going to make these floors as the cleanest they've ever been. I love that. So I love that about these guys. They're ready to go to work and they're ready to do something.
I just want to see someone dunk. That's it. Nothing more. Just a little trash talk, a little dunking. I'm good.
So, draft-wise, the Thunder did trade up only to number 17 to get the guy that I think that a lot of people said they were going to try to move up to get.
Yeah.
Which was,
Serb.
If you have an American-sounding name, you're probably not going to be on the Thunder at this point. If you're a veteran, you're probably not. There's a flow chart out there, and maybe you can find it and put it up. He's our video editor, by the way. We both bring the sports. I bring the whiskey, and he brings the actual talent as far as all this stuff goes. There's a flow chart out there. I'll send it to you, and if you want to put it up at this point, we'll take a break so you can look at it. Okay.
All right. So let's talk about our picks last week.
Well, first, we're going to talk about betting. Let's go to Vegas. Here we are. Don't ask us how we do it. Just don't ask. It's the technology. We time travel. We teleport. It's the whole thing.
We're kind of a big deal.
So last week, in the first week, the lock of the week for both of us covered. You had OU.
I had OU.
Minus the 7.
Wasn't even close. You're welcome.
I had OU's under, which looked horrible at first when 28 points were scored in the first quarter. But it ended up covering. We held on. I think the second and third quarter were very uneventful. And then in the other college game, you had Pitt, who demolished Virginia Tech. So you're 2-0 in college.
Yeah.
And my other college pick was, I said Penn State would upset Iowa State, and the only person Penn State upset was me. So I was 1-1. So you're 2-0 in college. Everything's looking great until
NFL.
Yeah.
I had the Falcons because I totally have faith in Matty Ice, which I will never do again. And Chase Hill. He just showed him what was up. Not a good pick. And you had?
I had the Colts minus 2.5, which you had the opposite side.
I had the opposite side.
So now you're 2-2, and I'm also 2-2. The good news for me is I got a backdoor cover with the Jets, and then an easy cover with the Titans +6, who won the game outright. So I'm at 4-1, and you had one more pick to go, which was the Bengals.
Oh yeah.
Who puts money on the Bengals? Who does this?
So sorry, Joe. That was my fault. I'm sorry you tore your ACL, MCL. That's on me. I know that. That's on me.
The fighting Joey Burrows will be without Joey Burrow from here on out. So
probably 2 seasons.
Okay, so 4-1. 4-1 by my last count is better than 2-3. So that means for the time being, the cash money necklace goes with me.
What?
What? All right, so this week, Stephen, we're going to start calling this segment. We're going to have 5 picks every week, but one of them will be a lock. We're going to call that the locker. But why do we call it the locker? Because locker rhymes with the shocker. So the shocker is going to be kind of your underdog pick of the week, and also it has a cool name because if you don't know what this means, look it up. Not suitable for work.
I'm going to go with North Carolina to upset Notre Dame on the money line. I don't even want the points.
So that's your shocker.
That's my shocker of the week.
Okay, so my shocker of the week, Baltimore on Thanksgiving Day, ending Pittsburgh Steelers' undefeated season with a shocking victory. I got them at +5.5, but I do think they're going to win. So the rules there are, if your underdog covers with the points, you still win. But it's the bravado here is we're going to call it like a cha-ching money ball. If your shocker of the week wins outright, we're going to give you an extra win. So if that could be a tiebreaker scenario kind of thing.
I'm taking the money line. I don't even need the points. I don't even want to know what the points are.
So what is
Mac Brown is going to win. He's going to take out Notre Dame because Coach Kelly always messes up, man. That's what he does. He's going to let it go. He's going his undefeated season is going to disappear faster than Monteteo's girlfriend.
All right, battery time. So that's your shocker of the week. We need a different pick for your locker of the week.
Locker of the week. I'm going to go with Green Bay over Chicago.
You didn't learn your lesson last week with Green Bay?
It's -8. Green Bay always beats Chicago.
-8.
They're going to crush Chicago.
Over a touchdown difference. That is a bold pick.
Eddie Jackson has COVID.
Okay, my lock of the week. I'm a totals guy. Last week I took 4 sides and my lock was a total. I'm going to take the under in the Oregon State game. the Civil War, 62.5. I'm going under that total. I think that is going to be the easiest win I've had in quite some time.
I'm going to give you my last 2 picks.
3. We need 3.
Okay. Huh?
We need 3.
Okay. I thought I already had 2. But I'm going to give you my last 3 picks. I'm going to go ahead and take Oregon State in that, because I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game,
Okay.
and there's 13.5 points to give up. I'm going to take Texas over Iowa State, because we've already talked about that,
Yep.
and why I like that. And then, I'm going to go ahead and go totally opposite of him. I'm going to go ahead and take the Pittsburgh Steelers to crush Baltimore.
So you're taking the -5.5 on Thanksgiving Day. So for the second straight week, we're on opposite sides of a bet.
Detroit, -3.
So we need 3 more picks from me now, right?
Yeah, you need 3 picks.
So let's go Jacksonville +6.5 against the Cleveland Browns. Tough pick for me, being a Cleveland fan, but Cleveland will be without Myles Garrett, most likely, and
It's a big loss.
without Denzel Ward. That's their best 2 players on defense. It's at Jacksonville. I think Cleveland has benefited these last few weeks from being in bad weather. While that has negatively affected,
Baker.
Baker and the offense in general, it's harder to play when it's windy and rainy and cold. But it's helped their defense. Our defense, I think, is a little bit suspect with the safety play, and I think that without our best 2 players, I think that Jacksonville is just going to keep this game close and possibly even upset us. So I hate to say that, but that's the way it is. I'm going to take reverse that. Iowa to beat Nebraska by more than 13.5 points. That is a pick I feel fantastic about. Love Iowa. Hate Nebraska this year, so I feel great about that pick. And finally, I'm going to go with another total. Oklahoma, West Virginia, under the 55. There are people out there that say life's too short to bet unders, but I say life's too short to leave winning plays on the table. And I think I've got 2 unders that are going to win me some money this week. So
I think Rattler puts a 55 on his own.
Brendan Radley-Hiles is going to have 17 pick sixes to shut everybody up. So that's it. That's our Vegas. We'll see next week if I'm still wearing the cash money necklace or if Steven has taken it from me.
Dethroned.
We'll have to check with the numbers. So that's my weak-ass Donald Trump impersonation. So until next week, I will leave you with that weak finish. Hey, cheers, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.